good day. I hope this video finds you well. I'm Geordy Coleman, and welcome to my Comedy Corner. George Lopez. I would start this video off simply saying, what could you say about George Lopez that hasn't already been said? But therein lies kind of the downside of George Lopez. And that's the fact that nobody seems to really be talking about him. Now, for those of you who don't know, George Lopez actually released a comedy special on Netflix not too long ago. And if you're a fan of his material, I highly recommend you check it out, because I can tell you this much: the first comedy special of George Lopez I ever watched, Why You Crying? It brought back so many memories, and I don't mean in a sense of there's recycled material. I mean that he's just as sharp as ever, just as funny as ever. And really, in all honesty, if you're just a comedy fan in general, definitely something to check out. Now, George Lopez is definitely a highlight of why I wanted to start doing this show. And that's looking at funny people, learning about funny people, and telling you about funny people. Now, I've been a big fan of George Lopez for quite some time. I actually remember somewhere in my teens was when I saw Why You Crying? And I fell in love with his material. Not because I have any type of Latino heritage, and I hope I'm using that term in the right way. It's simply because even though I'm a white dude, red-haired, blue-eyed Canadian, a lot of his material was like he was talking about me. Have you ever heard his joke where he's talking about picking up stray dogs? That was me. That was me when I was a kid. Anytime I'd see a stray dog, I'd do my best to try and get it back to my place. The difference was I lived in an apartment, so I wasn't allowed to keep them. Now, I will also say, I'm not a big believer in ethnic stereotypes, but if there's one stereotype that George Lopez is definitely showing is relatively accurate, it's the fact that Mexican dudes are hard workers. I say that because since the year 2001, he has been in a movie every single year. And since around the same time, he has been in a TV show every single year, as well as adding 2 sitcoms in the mix and his very own Jay Leno-style talk show. George, if you're watching this, when do you sleep? Like, seriously. On top of all that, he's an incredibly charitable person. He's a very gifted golfer, placing 3rd place in Bob Hope's Chrysler Classic in 2004, receiving many awards and honors, such as the Spirit of Liberty in 2004 as well, being named one of the 25 most influential Hispanics in America from Time magazine in 2005, and in 2011 he was honored by his elementary school by naming the auditorium after him, because he donated toys to the school so none of the kids would be without toys for Christmas. This is the point where I ask, why the hell is George Lopez not a bigger name. Like, honestly. Because the thing is that I will say that even talking to average people, not necessarily big comedy fans, but average people, co-workers and family members and so on, I'll bring up George Lopez. They know the name. And for myself included, he's not making any top 10 lists as far as best stand-up comedians. Now, I will say there are a shit ton of absolutely hilarious and thought-provoking comedians out there. George Lopez is out there, and he is funny. He is thought-provoking. But why is he not making anybody's top 10 list? This is a question I may never have any answer for. Now, I'm going to give George Lopez a 7 out of 10 for his longevity because he has actually been around for quite some time as an active stand-up comedian. 7 out of 10 for nostalgia, primarily because he was the first Hispanic stand-up comedian that I was ever made aware of. The laughter amount, 8 out of 10. He's a very funny, very incredibly talented comedian. And his fan base, 7 out of 10. Because, like I said, it seems like pretty much everybody likes him. He's just not making any top 10 lists. Enjoyment across all of his wonderful comedy specials, easy 8 out of 10. Relatability, 7 out of 10, because like I said before, a lot of the material that he talks about, even though he's talking about it from somebody of Mexican descent's viewpoint, he's effectively talking about everybody. Does his material hold up? Amazingly well. As a matter of fact, with who's president right now, I would say even his older material is more relevant than ever. Intelligence, 5 out of 10. Now, the reason why I say it's only a 5 out of 10 is because we're not talking about George Carlin style level of intelligence, but his material is far from stupid, which leaves us to timing and mic control, both 8 out of 10. Simply put, he is an incredibly hardworking comedian. And I personally imagine that as a stand-up comedian, when he was first starting out, he probably hit the open mic nights really hard. Probably trying to scramble for as much mic time as he could possibly find. And that's part of the reason why, come now, he is a fantastic stand-up comedian. And from my view, he should get a little more love from the fans of comedy. I'm going to end this with a little bit of a quote. And unfortunately, I don't know if I'm quoting it quite right, nor do I know who even did the quote. So if you happen to know where it comes from, please let me know. I've heard it say that a man trying to write about all men in all time talks about nobody. But a man that talks about himself in his own time talks about everybody. And I can say this much, George Lopez has got that on lockdown. So thank you very much for watching. Please do all the YouTube stuff, like, share, comment, subscribe, I'm officially moving this into a weekly show. So if you like this show, please, by all means, subscribe and more will come. And keep in mind, I want to tell you a secret. You can always unsubscribe later. But until next time, take care and keep laughing.